Imagine you are standing in a valley. The sun is blazing. The air smells of dust and sweat and fear. On one hillside, the army of Israel. Thousands of soldiers, battle-hardened men who have known war their whole lives. And on the other hillside, the Philistines. But nobody is moving. Nobody is fighting. Because every single morning, for 40 days, something comes out of the Philistine camp that stops everyone dead in their tracks. A giant, 9 feet tall, bronze armor, a spear so heavy most men couldn't even lift it, and a voice like thunder rolling across that valley, taunting, mocking, daring anyone to fight him. For 40 days, no one answered, until a shepherd boy showed up with lunch for his brothers. His name was David, and he was no warrior. He was the youngest of 8 brothers, the one nobody thought to invite when the prophet Samuel came looking for Israel's next king. His own father didn't call him. His brothers looked down on him. He was out in the fields, doing the forgotten work, watching his father's sheep under open skies while everyone else seemed to matter more. But something was happening in those fields that no one could see. Alone with his flock, David had faced a lion, a bear. He had killed them both with his bare hands to protect sheep that weren't even his. And through every one of those hidden battles, he had learned something that his brothers hadn't. He had learned that he was never actually alone. God was with him, not because David was the biggest or the strongest or the most impressive, but because David had a heart that kept turning back to God, in the fields, in the night, in the silence. He wrote songs out there, songs we still sing today. The Lord is my shepherd. He wasn't just writing poetry. He was writing from lived experience. When David arrived at the battle lines with bread and cheese for his brothers, he heard Goliath's voice for the first time. And something rose up inside him. Not pride, not recklessness, something deeper. He looked at the soldiers around him, grown men, trained fighters, trembling, and he asked a question that probably irritated everyone who heard it.
Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?
His oldest brother Eliab, the one who'd always looked down on him, turned on him immediately.
Why have you come down here? Who's watching those sheep? I know you. You just came to watch the battle.
There it is. Even in his finest moment, someone is trying to cut David down to size. Someone who should have believed in him, didn't. Maybe you know that feeling. Standing at the edge of something God is calling you toward, and the loudest voice against you belongs to someone who should have been cheering you on. David didn't argue. He just turned to the next soldier and asked the same question again. Word got to King Saul. And Saul, desperate, summoned David. He tried to dress him in his own armor, a king's armor. Bronze helmet, a coat of mail, a sword David had never trained with. David took a few steps and took it all off. I cannot walk in these. I'm not used to them. And here is a detail I don't want you to miss. David went to the stream and chose 5 smooth stones. Not 1, 5. Some people see that as doubt, as if he wasn't sure he'd get Goliath on the first try. But I think it means something else. Goliath had 4 brothers. David wasn't just thinking about today's battle. He was thinking about all of them. He walked into that valley with a shepherd's staff, a sling, and 5 stones. No armor, no sword, no military training. And Goliath looked at him and laughed.
Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?
He cursed David by his gods. He promised to feed David's flesh to the birds. And David, this teenager, this shepherd boy, looked back at him and said,
You come against me with sword and spear and javelin. But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel.
You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 45. He ran. David ran toward Goliath, not away from him. He reached into his bag. 1 stone. He loaded his sling. He swung it, and the stone flew through the air and struck the giant in the forehead, the only unprotected place on his entire body. Goliath fell face down on the ground. 9 feet of terror. 4 decades of warfare. The man who had silenced an entire army for 40 days, brought down by a shepherd boy and a stone. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they fled. And Israel, the army that had been trembling on that hillside, surged forward in pursuit. The battle was won before a single sword was drawn, because one person decided that the name of God was bigger than the size of the giant.
So, what does a shepherd boy and a giant have to do with your life right now? Everything. Because you have a Goliath. Maybe it's not 9 feet tall, but it looms just as large. It might be a diagnosis that doctors can't explain, a marriage that feels like it's falling apart, a dream that everyone around you says it's too big, too late, too much. A voice inside or outside that has been taunting you for 40 days or 40 years, telling you that you don't have what it takes. And maybe, like Israel's army, you've been standing on your hillside, watching, waiting, hoping someone else will step forward. But what if God is waiting for you to pick up your stone? David didn't have more courage than fear. He had more faith than doubt. And he had the wisdom to know the battle wasn't his to win, it was God's to give. The same God who was with David in the fields before anyone knew his name, he is with you in your hidden seasons, in your small forgotten moments. He is preparing you for a giant you haven't met yet. Don't put on armor that doesn't fit you. Don't fight with weapons that aren't yours. Go with what God has placed in your hands and run toward the valley because the battle belongs to the Lord. Hello, everyone. I'm Aya. If this story moved something in you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Hiraya Faith for more Bible stories told this way, and I'll see you in the next one. God bless you, everyone.